like a half dome. Decide where you're gonna put your eyes. And then, so I'm pinching it like this. I'm gonna pinch inward for 2 eyes. And then I'm gonna just make a little mark where my nose is gonna go. Then on the, like off to the side of the eyes, I'm gonna push in on the side, right below where the eye is and off to the side. I'm gonna pinch that in a little bit. So now I have this shape happening. I can kind of curl this under a little bit to give it more of a skull shape. I'm also kind of pushing from the inside to round that off a little bit. Okay, and then if you look right behind the eye, there's another dent. So we're gonna put another dent back here. And that kind of defines where the eye socket is gonna go. Okay, so that's my skull like 90% done. What I might do then is, I need to grab, I'm just gonna use my fingernail and I'm gonna make marks for the teeth. Okay, and once you get to this point, you're like 90% done. At this point, it needs to stiffen up to leather hard, and then you can go back in and carve designs in it. So if you wanted to do like a sugar skull, a traditional sugar skull design, that's cool. If you want to do something else, that's fine. But you just make a little skull like that. You can make it look more or less realistic than this. One other thing that you might want to do, if you make little balls and kind of in your hand square them off, so you're going to make little flat kind of square looking things. Then if you score and slip along where the teeth are, oh, that's actually kind of nice teeth too. I don't mind that. That could be another way to make your teeth. But I'll score and slip, so we're gonna pretend like I put a little water there, and then I'm gonna give him teeth like that. So little square piece, square-ish. I could add his teeth like that. You can do a bottom jaw if you want. Oh, one other thing that I usually like to do is I just do a little cutout right here where I do that dent on the bottom, and that makes it look a little bit more like a skull. Okay, so just in time for Halloween and Dia de los Muertos, start making skulls, but finish your coil pots first. So as soon as you're done with coil pot 2, you can start working on your pumpkins and or skulls, and you can make 100 of them if you want. Hello, children. Welcome to Clay Time with Mr. Barnes. We're going to talk about pumpkins and skulls today. It's almost spooky season. So the Calavera is going to be a project assignment requirement, like you're going to make a skull, but I'll also accept a pumpkin. Now this is a relatively short, easy assignment, so you can make as many of these skulls and or pumpkins as you want, okay? They both start pretty much the same way. So I've got 2 pinch pots here, so these are just basic pinch pots. What I am gonna do with it, once I get them to this point, you get a close up on this camera, I'm gonna squeeze the top, going around and around in a circle until I can almost close it off. You can kind of pinch that and make it look nice again, but especially for the pumpkin, I'm gonna wanna close that off almost all the way. It doesn't have to be closed off completely, but most of the way. Now for the pumpkin, that's the easiest one to do. I've got a thing of, what is this called?
Yarn.
Yarn, there we go. I got a thing of yarn up here. Come get yourself a little piece of yarn. If I can find the end, this will work. And once you have a pinch pot. I would spend a little bit of time trying to smooth this out, but you don't want to wait for it to get too leather hard. It still needs to be pretty soft. So maybe you don't spend a lot of time trying to smooth this out because you don't want it to dry out too much. Maybe just a little, okay? Then you're gonna take your string. So I'm using the yarn instead of the cutoff wires because the yarn is a little bit thicker. So I'm gonna put that down on the, and I'm gonna pull, and really all I'm doing is making like a tiny little mark. Okay, and then I'm gonna do a cross. I'll pull that again. And then I'll go this way. Is it starting to look like a pumpkin? Not, or
Looks like a
or
basketball.
agree. Looks like a basketball. Okay, that's fine. All right, once you have that started, to make this look a little bit more like a pumpkin, so we have the grooves and the lines. You're gonna take one of your fingers, probably your longest one, and you'll just gently push from the inside, and you'll kind of push out each of those little sections, kind of like an orange or a pumpkin. So I'm kind of going along, and instead of, you could swipe it like this, if you maybe put a little bit of water on your finger, or you can just kind of do little pushes like I'm doing. So once we get all of the sections kind of pressed out a little bit, then I've also kind of ruined my line. So I'm gonna go back and I'm gonna push down on my lines again. So it's starting to look more like a pumpkin. Then you'll take a little piece of clay. You'll do a little scoring and slipping. And then you'll just make a little cone. For your little cone, you can use any tool really. You want to make a few vertical slashes and lines. This doesn't have to be super clean right now because you can always clean it up later. And then you're gonna lift this back up. You're gonna put your thumb on the inside, right there at the top. And then you'll, oh, I forgot to score this part. Make sure you score it. Otherwise it's not gonna stick. And then you'll press against your thumb on the inside and you'll get the stem. And then if you push down just a little bit on the top, you get a fairly convincing little pumpkin. Now, if you were to make this bigger, you could carve a face into it, or you can add a face onto it, but that's a basic pumpkin. Now for the skull, we're gonna start with the same thing, just a basic little pinch pot, but I also have a few reference photos here, or pull up a photo on your phone to look at while you're doing the skull. But you wanna start with the pinch pot and then decide, so it needs to be